Hard Hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to pump him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
What's going on, Sherrod?
What's up, Jay-Z? What's up, buddy?
What's going on? I think I missed you. We communicated some, but we haven't hung out. We haven't hung out here on this stage in a long time, so it's good. It's good to see you.
It must mean the regular season is about to start.
Here we go. I'm trying to get. Here's the thing, and I said this to Jimmy, with on our text thread with Bobby, which we spare you from. Like, I wasn't looking forward to the preseason because I don't know how much I'm looking forward to the season. And I didn't know how we were going to do any of these things. But I have to tell you, after 3 games, there's some fun things to watch here. And it's hard to not – I say this because I want to, temper expectations.
Right.
It's a little frustrating that at no point in time have they played another team with real players, because you want to see it. They're playing Vegas League rosters right now, they're playing, stay ready crews.
Right.
So it's really hard to get a gauge. You want to get excited about some things, but you really do need to see it in action. But that being said, what we're seeing right now so far, I like a lot of it. And there's, and there's pieces that they've added. And this is what's going to kill me. Guys like Boucher and Minot would have been awesome on last year's team. You know what I mean? On a, you needed a guy like that. Playing major minutes on a team that's trying to contend. I'm still dubious. We'll see how it goes. But, oh, my God, I love it. I'm all the way down to the end. That Wendell Moore Jr. can have a spot on any team that I'm on, that I'm part of.
Active roster for that.
Oh my God, I want to. I'm keeping that guy.
My goodness,
I'm keeping that guy. So again, we like it. So it's fun. It's fun to watch.
That's the thing about this team now.
Which is good. Fun is good. It doesn't always have to be wins if it's fun.
To me, you have to do one or the other, preferably both, but either win or entertain the hell out of me. Give me at least one of those. And it's clear as day that this team, if this is a 40-45 win
I'm
team,
being told to be less optimistic, by the way, okay? My view is too sunny. This guy must be new, but that's okay. Keep going. Sorry, go ahead, Sherrod.
Wow. This team clearly is going to be fun to watch. I'm looking at guys that, like Luka Garza, for example, just plays hard, gets a lot of rebounds. Peyton Pritchard is going to do what Peyton Pritchard does. Jalen didn't have a great game today, but you can see Jalen is looking to be more of a playmaker, which I think is great because that's the one part of his game that I think he needs to get better at. Derek White is giving you whatever you need from him. This is going to be an enjoyable team. And then you got guys at the end of the bench like Minot, who I'm assuming we're going to talk a little bit about. I really like him. And shout out to Gary Washburn, who invested in Minot stock way early on this one.
He did.
I kind of gave him the side eye when he was talking about Minot, a few weeks ago. But I'm a believer. That kid can play. Is he all-star? Hell no. But can he play? Absolutely.
Well, it's the energy, right? It's he's all over the place. He really covers a lot of ground. He's just all over the ball. He's everywhere. So it's fun to, watch him play. And you need those types of guys. But so far, and again, credit to Joe Mazzulla. You like to see that the vision is coming into place a little bit. They are playing faster. They are getting shots up quicker. They are. You saw early. It's not quite the hockey subs that Jordan Walsh talked about, but they're getting guys in early, and you can see the vision. We're going to have 3-4 guys who are going to play a lot of minutes, and then we're going to have 8-9 guys that are going to play 15 minutes each. That might be, and then there might be a hot hand situation or a matchup situation, but you can see that they're going to run it through quite a bit depending on what's going on in here, because right now they're digging into the bench they want to keep that energy level high to start, it looks like. And again, if we can read anything off of preseason games,
right,
they have now in the last couple, you see that first sub coming in the 3.5 to 4 minute mark. That's extremely early to rotate people in. And you had two guys coming in. I believe it was Minot and maybe Garza came in right out of the gate, and then Simon soon after that. And then they just kept rolling it, and they rolled through with a lot of those guys. I could definitely see 10 and 11 being a pretty normal output in terms of people playing a night in a night.
And they're going to have to be unconventional with the units they play. And I thought we saw that right from the jump. I mean, Boucher was your center. I mean, basically, and that's a very unconventional lineup with him, Sam Hauser, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and Pritchard. That's if you're looking to play fast and have 5 guys on the floor who can score. That's the kind of lineup I think you're going to see. And it gives you the flexibility that if a team is just beating the crap out of you, you got plenty of bigs on your bench who can do different things. And it's going to be trial and error with this team all season long. But the thing that I'm loving so far is that they're fun to watch. I'm not sure this team would be as enjoyable to watch if they went with a traditional starting 5 where you've got 2 guards and 2 forwards and a true center. So it'll be interesting to see how are they able to me find that happy medium, which is having a team that can win some games but also be enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. And again, you really do want to see it against real competition because that'll make a bit of a difference. But there's definitely a bit of a vibe, I'm not in the minority here, but I love guard play, and so I really like seeing guys like White and Pritchard be the engine that drive this team. And again, everyone's going to assume this is a referendum on Jason Tatum, and it's not. But like, I hate point Tatum. I hate slow it up. I hate put it in a guy's hands and just let him assess what's going on, even if he's good at doing it, very capable. And even if the numbers say that it's good, it's just, you want to see, the little guys pushing the ball, putting pressure on the defense, moving it, getting it up the court quickly. And you are seeing it from those guys. Derek White has, quietly been pretty awesome in this preseason in his minutes. And you can really see that when the regular season rolls around, his offensive role is going to be significantly, higher than it's been in years past, because there's not, I talked about this a couple shows ago. One of the good things about, you have Pritchard, he goes on his heaters. You have, White every once in a while. But the reality is like on a night that you're playing and that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are on the floor, along with Kristaps Porzingis, you almost feel guilty to just be jacking it up 18, 19, 20 times, because it's like, I am feeling it, but should I be doing this? You don't have to worry about that on this team anymore. So I like the green light that these guys are going to have all year.
Yeah, and you can get away with playing that slow, methodic pace because you've got guys that can absolutely thrash you in a half-court game. You don't got those guys anymore. No Al Horford, no Porzingis, no Drew Holiday, no Tatum. So you're going to have to figure out a way to generate offense. And it's clear that they're looking to get out, do some things defensively, full court press, which I love. I absolutely love inline to inline pressure. That's something that we saw, the Indiana Pacers do at a really high level last season. And the Celtics, they're looking to do a lot of that this year. And it's not just Peyton Pritchard. I mean, we saw Derek White, we saw Jaylen Brown, you saw Minot, you saw pretty much everyone that plays in the backcourt or at the wing position looking to press their men, whoever was bringing the ball up. And that's going to be really key for them to have any shot at winning, because over the course of a game, it wears you down. And I think that for the Celtics, that's going to be one of those things they're going to have to beat teams. They're going to have to wear them down.
6 shots. You guys finished with 39 defensive rebounds.
Sorry, I'm going to put up Joe Sherrod while you're talking.
You're somewhere in the 60-something% range. What do you see as a solution for the defensive rebounding?
Just keep playing. Find guys that will rebound.
Is like, do the wings have to do more? Do you need to see more crash? What's the philosophy there as far as like wings crashing and stuff like that?
Find 5 guys to rebound.
5 words.
Jack.
Joe, you guys
Didn't
have
like it.
taken a lot of threes because your, personnel is allowed for it these past few years. You guys are employing a faster paced style this year. Is the process of getting to those changed at all because of the faster pace? Does it lend to it differently, or is it just the same process?
I've answered that question 100 times. Find the 2-on-1, make the right play versus the 2-on-1. That's that simple. Could be a 3, could be a layup. Find the 2-on-1. Do it. I've answered that for 2 years now. Find the 2-on-1. What does a 2-on-1 present? Are there 2 shooters on the 2-on-1? There's 2 shooters on the 2-on-1. You pass, you're an open shot. There's not 2 shooters on the 2-on-1. You cut. You create a 2-on-1 in a different way. I've answered that for 3 years. Why do we keep asking that?
Ooh. Then
Create 2-on-1s. Find a 2-on-1. Everybody should be able to answer that question verbatim based on my answers to that question for almost 3 years now. What's our offensive philosophy? Create 2-on-1s. What do you do when you create the 2-on-1? Read it. Find it. Last year, there was 38% three-point shooters in a 2-on-1 situation, so it was a pass shot. This year, there may not be a 38 to 40% three-point shooter on a 2-on-1 situation, so that 2-on-1 may be created off a cut, and then you can create a 2-on-1 in a different way. Then the cut allows us to get an offensive rebound. I don't understand. Why is it so hard? I said it for 3 years. You just keep ignoring what I said. Find the 2-on-1, make the right play versus a 2-on-1. For however long I'm here, that will be the offensive philosophy.
Any other questions?
You seem just a little frustrated. What was just your overall view of this game tonight? Or was there something about the game?
Not frustrated. I'm
that bothered you?
extremely fulfilled and happy about what we're doing. I mean, if you get asked the same question for 3 straight years,
With the rebounding, like to Krause, you said, find 5 guys. What are you seeing?
Find 5 guys that will rebound.
But what are you seeing?
I don't see 5 guys rebound.
Mm.
So then I go get 5 and they rebound. It's that simple. Doesn't matter about wings, bigs, doesn't matter. Find 5 guys that'll rebound, go. It's that simple.
Joe, obviously there's been a lot of conversations about Anthony defensively, but what have you seen from him in his fit offensively here?
Yeah, he's just got to be a complete player. Has an understanding of the physicality that's needed on every single possession on both ends of the floor. That's the only thing I care about. It's got to be physical. It's got to box out. It has to be able to defend, and everything else will take care of itself.
Joe, this is the first time you had the full complement of guys for a preseason. What did you see of just the mixing and matching of lineups there? What did you like from the guys?
Find 5 guys that'll rebound, that'll get space, that'll run, that'll play. It's the most important thing. I don't care about lineups. I don't give a shit about lineups. I care about having 5 guys out there that will play as hard as they can.
Overall, what did you see from Josh tonight and just his activity at both ends of the floor?
Yeah, has to keep that up, has to play hard, has to be able to rebound, has to be able to sprint the floor, has to crash, has to shoot the ball if he's open, has to defend at a high level. He's getting better at that.
Joe, do you see rebounding as simply an effort thing, or do you think that there's something technical that guys are missing that is leading to those missed defensive rebounds?
5 guys on the floor, everyone's responsible to rebound. Go get the ball. Every rebound's a 50-50 loose ball. You go get it.
So it's mostly an effort thing.
It's everything. It's everything. Will, technique, whatever you got to do, you do it. Yes, I could do this all night. Let's go. What do you got?
Combat.
Approach changed with the revamped roster. Guys don't know you. They're trying to get to know you. They don't know when you're really upset or kind of upset. Like, have you had to change or kind of be a little gentler, or are you just the same and they're just going to have to?
I think that's a good question. I mean, I think you have to constantly adjust based on the roster that you have and the personalities that you have, but also the type of personality that you want your team to have. Right? I think there's different personality. Everyone's different, right? So you have to treat everybody differently, but at the same time, you have to have a collective personality as to what you're trying to do, and so I think you have to be able to spend time and understand what each person ticks. Could be different for everybody, but at the same time, your team has to tick at a certain level. And so you have to coach to the individual personality, but then you also have to coach to the collective personality about what a group of people have to be able to do when they come together. So I think you're constantly, doing both of those things. It's a good question.
What else? You said
there's no rush. Get all the questions in you want.
You said playing the personality you want the team to have. What is the personality that you want the team
We'll
to
figure
have?
that out. I mean, that takes time. And, you have to understand Celtic basketball, play at both ends of the floor, be well-balanced, understand screening, understand spacing, be tough, understand the dynamics of defense, so all those things that just go into being a good team, you have to be able to do night in and night out, play together. All the things that all coaches are trying to get the team to do, just have to work to do it more nights than others.
Thank you, Joe.
That was fun.
Don't let him go.
Oh, don't.
Oh, come on.
Do it.
Cowards. Oh, my God.
Did not see that coming. Didn't see that
October
coming.
12th, preseason game number 3, and Joe Mazzulla just gave the Hall of Fame press conference of all time. Oh my God. I gotta give those guys, I want to go give Jack Simone a hug and a cookie. He didn't deserve that.
Wow.
Really, nobody did. Holy guys, thank God Bobby wasn't there. Oh, Jesus.
Bobby dodged a bullet on this one.
Oh,
because you know, Bob. Yeah.
Thank goodness. Bobby wasn't there. Again, I think everybody right now is over there consoling Jack and just patting him on the shoulder. Did nothing wrong. Nothing. What? So I'll ask you this, and I don't want to hear in the chat stupid questions. All questions are stupid. It's just part of the gig. Nobody's asking, meaning of life questions here. It's just general stuff.
Well, first of all, it's a preseason game.
You sucked at rebounding. Is that going to be a problem? It's pretty obvious. Like you're not trying to solve, mysteries here. So you're going to get asked about it.
Right.
I don't know what set him off. What set him off there? I'm curious what we're missing.
It feels like there's something that transpired between the tip-off and the time that Joe walked out of that damn locker room to do his postgame. That just absolutely just put him in a crappy mood, where he was not taking any crap from anyone. And it doesn't even, and those questions were, they got their asses kicked on the boards. So what do you ask about in the postgame? Rebounding, which you got your ass kicked in. Even though you won the game, you still, it's clear that there's some issues that you got to work through. And the fact that he went off like that, odd, really odd.
So my question is this. Look, I've made my feelings on this stuff known. If you're an asshole to the media, you're an asshole. It just is what it is. It's the same thing. If you're an asshole when you go to order a coffee or at the supermarket because you don't have patience for whatever you think is stupid, they asked you twice if you wanted paper or plastic, you answered it and you ripped their head off, you're an asshole. I don't give a crap. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change how effective he is as a coach. It doesn't matter to fans. That stuff, and as long as he's got the players, he's fine there.
Right.
So I don't care about that in terms of is that going to have any impact on anything? It has no impact on anything that happens on the court. I just don't get what he's so mad about. My question is, you can take it out on the media. That's fine. They could be the whipping boys, for you all day long. Is he mad at the team right now? Is there something that's bothered him? Or the line of questioning just simply, we just won by 40 points and you're asking me about the one negative thing here? I'm kind of curious what you think here. Is he pissed at we're not crashing the boards and I've had it with these guys? I don't know.
I think that's
weird.
Probably more likely and rather than take it out on them, take it out on the media. Because they're not going to fight back. They're not going to push back. Whereas your players, they're going to be like, we just beat them by freaking 31 points. What the hell are you talking about? So I think it's some of that, because I think this is the thing I think Joe realizes. He realizes what you and I think most of our listeners realize. That was a shitty Cleveland team that you played. That is nothing close to the team that you're going to have to play. And they still, when it came, as far as the glass is concerned, they were better than you, significantly better than you. And you played most of the guys that you're going to actually have to play when you face them. There was no Mobley. There was no Donovan Mitchell. There weren't the guys that normally you're going to face when you see Cleveland that are going to give you problems. And you couldn't even deal with their, stay ready crew in that regard. And so I think the last thing Joe wanted to do was talk about what I think we all saw was a problem for them. This was a good win from the standpoint they won by 31 points, but there's more than enough meat on that bone that he knows they need to work through to be a better team. There's just no doubt about that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But again, the whole thing
was bizarre.
Really bizarre. Also, I'm on the left. I don't know what I'm doing over there. That's bizarre too. I'll ask you guys, what do you guys think? I mean, probably pissed at the team. I would say so. And look, we pointed this out too. This is a problem. The stuff that coaches Joe has his offensive philosophy and a way that he wants him to play. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that drives coaches crazy are, getting killed on the glass and not holding your own on the defensive end. And, you do wonder if he's seeing things with this team. Like, I don't know how this is going to hold up here. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of you have guys that just simply aren't you can't get mad.
It's not why they're here in the league.
Yeah, that's not what they do. Like you have to understand and embrace some of the imperfections here, which is that's why you're choosing to do your hockey line subs or play really fast. You're trying to create advantages to mask some of the natural disadvantages you have by the, attrition that you experienced this offseason. You lost a lot and you can't do things the way you would normally do them. So you got to reinvent yourself and hope that works. And you disguise some of your flaws. Every NBA team does this to some, with the exception of the elite teams. Everyone does that to some. You can't just play your way and just exert your will on teams the way they have the last couple of years. Celtics play their A game, they beat everybody. That's just how it's always been. They got to play a different way. This is going to continue to be an issue, the rebounding thing. And yeah, it is a team effort. So maybe it is more the other guys knowing that the bigs and some of the bigs who are in there, that's just not their game. Like a guy like Garza is just not going to be grabbing down boards. So you need help there. Maybe that's been emphasized in practice, and maybe they're just not giving him, what he wants out of it. I don't know. Super interesting to see. Just teasing what's ahead. We're going to hear whoever else comes up to the podium here. And you had a couple of guys have some good games, and we want to get into those a little bit as well. But also Noah's going to be joining us from the Garden. Bobby is off tonight. He will be back. I promise you that. While we wait for that stuff, we want to tell you guys about our pals over at Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in all of North America. And, we make decisions every day, but Prize Picks being right gets you paid. It's simple to play more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And that can be in one sport, in one game, multiple sports, doesn't matter. If you get your picks right, you can cash in up to 2,000 times your cash. Prize Picks offers lots of cool things like injury reboots if someone gets hurt and leaves the game. Puka Nacua would have been a good one today, but he came back and played a snap or two, and that didn't help. That didn't help you guys out there. I'm sorry if that happened to you. Puka tried to tough it out, but it might have been better to just take that second half L. Prize Picks also invented the flex play. You can cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. It's all good. Download that app today. Use code CLNS. Get $50 in your lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, get $50 in your lineups after you play your first $5 lineup when you download the app and use the code CLNS. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. That's what they like to say. I like that slogan. Good to be right. Back to the Celtics here. And, again, I don't know what there was that to be mad about this game. Even, look, Sherrod, I mean, Joe Mazzulla just made himself the story of this game, which is really bizarre to me.
Right.
But anyway, it doesn't matter. The 30, you can play a team of replacement level players, and it would be annoying if you struggled against them with your A team, but they didn't. They ran them off the friggin' floor.
Right.
And it's hard to not look at the offense and just what it looked like, because they were getting up threes in the previous games. And again, the Cleveland, by the way, I mean, whatever, 12 of 60, they shot three. That was just gross. Celtics finally shot at a good clip. They got up 45. They made 18. They were hotter in the first half than they were in the second half. But nice to see the guys like Peyton Pritchard and Simons out there, along with Derek White and the guys who are going to be shooting that ball there. I'm going to start. I think Minot is one of the best takeaways so far of the preseason because of unexpected minutes. But curious a guy like Simons is really intriguing to me because when we talk about what they lost, Sherrod, I feel like Simons gets discounted as an addition. A lot. People are just looking at the losses and not saying, well, this person can help you in some ways. I've always been a fan. I'm curious how the defensive side of things is going to go with him. We were debating, and some people on the stream had mentioned, or in the chat were saying, he doesn't play defense, he's not going to get in there. And I don't think that's the case. I think he's going to, because they don't really have a lot of other options. But man, for the people who don't have League Pass or stay up late and watch West Coast, or you're not seeing Portland on a lot of national telecasts, you watch him play and you see it. He is one of the most effortless shooters and scorers out there. It is just butter.
He makes it look so damn easy. And to me, the thing about, and it really doesn't matter whether you're actually running offense to get him shots. He can do it either way. Either you set him up to get shots, or he can just get a shot off the dribble on his own. And they don't have a choice but to play him big minutes. I mean, especially if you're going to have Peyton Pritchard in that starting lineup, because you're going to need someone to come off that bench and give you some juice. And I like the idea of him coming off the bench without Peyton Pritchard to start, and then maybe either play him with Peyton or him with Jalen, when he's on the floor. So that, again, he has the ability to be a primary scorer, but teams aren't going to be able to just absolutely gravitate towards him and not have to worry about anyone else out there. Defensively, I think that's going to come. And I think that if they continue to play at a relatively fast pace, his defense isn't going to be that big of a liability, because, again, if you're playing at an up-tempo pace, your defense, in theory, is going to cause some chaos, havoc, get some easy buckets in transition. And he's getting better. I mean, I saw him play, 10, 15 games last year, and the defense was just bad. And when he says that it really is about like wanting to do it, he's not kidding. I mean, we watched him last year. It looked like he didn't want to play defense. That his mindset was I know I'm playing full court, but I'm really only going to play half of the court, and that's on the offensive side. Now there's at least effort to become a better defender, and I think he will be. He's not going to be an all NBA defender or anything like that. But to me, the one thing he's got to do, and it's the most fundamental, basic part of being a defender, and simply that's stay between your man and the rim. If he can do that one thing with a relative amount of you don't need to block shots, you don't need to contest shots, you don't need to go for steals. Just stay between the rim and your man. That is going to significantly improve his play as a defender. I mean, when I was in Detroit, I saw Chauncey Billups named all NBA defensive team for that reason and that reason alone. He wasn't getting steals. He just stayed between his man and the rim. And that got him a couple of all NBA spots defensively. I don't expect that again from Anthony, but again, the ability to just stay in front of your man. And it's not like he doesn't have the ability to do that, because if you got the ability to break and blow by guys, you damn sure got to have the ability to keep them in front of you.
Yeah, certainly. And again, this is something I've said from the get-go. This is a slam dunk champion. This is a guy with elite athleticism and quickness and explosiveness, and it is a matter of will. It was very funny / shocking to hear him say, like, I never really thought about playing defense before.
And we're like, wait, what?
So you hope he can flip a switch there. I'm curious to see it once the season starts, because it's a commitment from everybody. I mean, it's a commitment. You have to decide that's what you're about, and do it all the time. You can't. I think that's where most people fail, as the people who don't really want to play defense but don't want to be embarrassed all the time. Turn it up only when they have to. And then, play Olay a lot of the other time. They're pick magnets. They don't fight through screens. They pass off guys quickly, and they just want to kind of be done with that end of the floor. And you can get away with that in the first quarter, second quarter, blah, 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 and, different games, but then you'll try to clamp down on a possession that's really important later in the game. But that doesn't help. That's the thing. It's a constant thing. We got someone else coming up to the podium. I hope it's half as spicy. It's Simons. Let's get in there.
Hey,
Bobby. Anthony, obviously it's a role you've had earlier in your career, but how was it coming off the bench tonight?
I thought at first I was kind of overthinking it, but once I got out there, I felt more comfortable. Obviously when you've been starting for, I don't know how many years now, you feel like, changing the kind of routine that you built, the past couple of years. But I think those early years coming on the bench really helped me in trying to understand, coming off the bench and the rhythm and the, just the preparation they had to come off the bench. But it was good.
And obviously, there's been a lot of talk about you on the defensive end this season. Do you feel like this team playing a more aggressive brand that helps get the most out of you at that end?
For sure. Like I said before, it's like a standard, that you want to obtain, joining the team. And so, knowing that each and everybody else on the team is going to bring it on that end, it kind of forces you in that position to, put your best foot forward and, fit into that.
Peer pressure's a bitch.
Anthony, you had a few head coaches in Portland. What's the process of getting to know a new head coach, and what's the process of getting to know Joe?
Just building a relationship off the court. I think that started, as soon as I, found out I got traded. Trying to be in constant communication and trying to get to know each other. And I think we've been building a great relationship. I know a lot about his family life. He knows a lot about mine. And, it's been good. I think each and every day we're continuing to build that relationship. And it's been good for me because it helps on the court when he's trying to hold me accountable and, push me to be the best version of myself.
You went to a playoff game, Celtic playoff game. I think you went to Game 3 against Orlando. Like, did you have any idea?
No.
Like, what was that? What was that night like? Kind of watching that game with some of your teammates and just checking that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I thought about, like, when you become a player, you never really get to see the game as a spectator. And obviously, I'm from Orlando, and so, I just wanted to go and see a game. Not knowing that I was going to be being traded to Boston, which is crazy and coincidental.
Anthony, getting to learn how to play with Peyton Pritchard. I know you played the other night, but even in that Toronto game when you guys started together, what's the process of playing off each other's spacing? I know you played with Dame and CJ, but like when you have two guards that both like to shoot from deep, that both have similar shot profiles, like what's the process of playing off each other's spacing?
Yeah, just filling it out in the game, and then like obviously just having constant communication with him. Obviously, like I said, I played with Dame and CJ, and so I was able to learn how to be able to space pretty well and give those guys some room to work. And so it's just the same thing with Peyton. Peyton can get downhill, create his own shot, and so you got to give him the space that he needs. And also it helps put the defense in a bind. He's going one-on-one at the top of the key or on a wing, and I'm on the other wing, and it forces the help defender to make a choice and choose.
And then defensively, it seems like you guys are sending a lot of help, like pressuring the ball, off the ball, and stuff like that. Like, what's the thought process behind going for a certain risk, not going for a certain risk? Like, how do you read the floor and determine when and where you go for those?
Right. It's not going to be perfect. We're going to take some risk, and it might not work out, but we have to protect each other. Once those mistakes happen, and so that's been the constant talk about this whole training camp is just you mess up, you cover for your teammate, cover for your brother, and then we figure it out as the possession goes along.
I mean, Joe sounded a little frustrated with the rebounding after the game. What has he voiced to you guys about your work on the defensive glass in particular?
Just box out with the other player trying to get the offensive rebound. I think it's really that simple. And obviously he's been pretty adamant about that. So he's just trying to set the tone of how we need to bring it each and every night from the beginning on that side.
And what is the key for that for you guys? Is it an effort thing? Is it
just understanding angles of which the shot is coming off of, and it's all about basically really toughness and just boxing out your man, making sure at least your man doesn't get it if you don't get it. So it's really that simple like that.
John. Anthony, going back to the coming off the bench thing, can you just explain the difference in the preparation and the that 4 or 5 minutes of sitting and watching? What are you watching, and how do you get into the flow right away versus feeling out a game at the beginning?
Right. Obviously it's a different team, but early in my career when I came off the bench, I just try to understand the flow of the game, what we feel like I needed, or we needed to when I came into the game. And so it's always, at first it was difficult, obviously coming in trying to find a rhythm offensively and You know what I mean? You not haven't been playing this whole time, so just filling out how the game is being played. You get to get a snapshot before you go in of how the defense is playing certain players, and you might get the same coverage. So you kind of get, a good idea of how, the team's going to play. And then, I think for like early in my career, me and my trainer used to do drills where we would come in late at night and I'll sit down and for a second, and he'd tell me to get up, come in and shoot a three, and I got to make it. Certain drills like that help me to be able to come in and be, pretty productive pretty early in the game.
What were your first impressions of playing at TD Garden as a Boston Celtic?
No, it's every time I came to play here, I enjoyed the environment, and obviously the fans are, top level fans, and so it's always been a arena that I've looked forward to playing in, and I always thought it was a good shooting gym for me. So I feel like it's the same thing. Great shooting gym for sure. Thank you.
Translation: I used to give y'all buckets.
Great shooting gym. I love to hear that. It's like, you got players that just like to hit at certain ballparks, Everybody likes to light it up here. It's pretty good.
Oh,
You see that a lot too. Like a guy tunes you up. You think he's better than he is. And you're like, I'm going to get that guy. Not saying that's what happened in this situation. This is just how it played out. Oh man, I lost Sherrod again. We've had a couple of technical gaffes with Sherrod and his Wi-Fi. Hopefully we'll get him back in a little bit. In the meantime, I can filibuster as we talk about the Celtics win here. And I liked what I saw out of Anthony Simons for sure. Another thing we talked about a good bit just throughout the preseason so far is this idea of pace and what the Celtics are going to do to be playing at a faster pace. And we've talked about the hockey lines in terms of substitution and run. And you are seeing some of it. I think we caught up with Peyton Pritchard, might have been a practice yesterday, and he was talking about that very thing. And he seemed to kind of light up. And he's the type of guy who you can tell he wants to run. He always wants to run. He wants to go. He hasn't really been able to always with this team. But this was him talking about kind of the Celtics playing faster.
Well, certain players we had, and we were winning. So, JT wants the ball at the top. JT's a top 5 player, so you might as well give him the ball and let him work. So, we don't have him at the beginning of this year, so we got to go to what benefits our team the most. But, it's just different. Like, when you got a guy like JT, you got KP, you can throw it to on the elbow and score. Like, you weren't going to change things up when you're winning a championship. So, I think the NBA sometimes can be a copycat league, but you got to go with what really works for your team, and it's going to help you win on every given night. So
I wanted to play fast, but JT wouldn't let me. Kinda, not really, but we said that was going to be a thing, and this is going to be an interesting storyline if Tatum does in fact return. Let's just say the Celtics do. Like, you're going to do what Jason Tatum does and what Jason Tatum wants to do, because he's Jason Tatum. But it is interesting if the Celtics go out and light the world on fire and are scoring 130 points a game and playing at this breakneck pace, to have it come crashing to a halt if Tatum returns as a physically limited version of himself and kind of, goes back into the way that he plays. It's understandable, but it is interesting. Are they going to flip a switch back if Tatum returns? Is he going to play faster? How's that going to go? It's not necessarily a problem. And hold on, someone's trying to communicate here. Okay. But it is interesting to see how it does play out if and when Tatum does return, and they have adopted this much faster pace that they've been playing with. We got Sherrod back here, and I just played a clip from Peyton, I think it's shoot around this morning, talking about them like, yeah, well, we couldn't play fast. We had guys who didn't, Holiday, Tatum, Porzingis, like that's not a team that's gunning up the floor,
All
so
those old men.
Yeah, old men. I mean, look, we talked about it. If there was a slight flaw with those old Celtics, was they weren't super athletic, Right. And so they wouldn't get out and run, and teams that were really athletic and physical were the ones that would give them a little bit more trouble. So yeah, you get rid of a couple of the old guys, or like a guy like Porzingis, who's, kind of got the body of an older dude. It's going to change a little bit. So it's kind of nice to see some of those young bucks in here coming in here with fresh legs and spry and wanting to run and get out on the move.
Yeah, the Celtics, they don't have a choice but to lean on that style of play if they have any shot at winning, because they don't have the benefit of having better than above average talent at every position. They don't have the benefit of years and years of experience that they can lean on. So the only thing they really can do in order to give themselves a chance to win is to get out and run and just muck the game up a little bit. Those are the kind of things that when you're a team that's kind of not necessarily rebuilding, but just retooling yourself to be competitive, that's how you got to do it.
Yep. Derek White is up at the podium. We're going to listen in and hear what Derek has to say. And someone asking here, yes, absolutely. We're going to run back that Joe Mazzulla soundbite when Noah gets on the show. So stand by for that.
Early crashing the boards. What do you see as a responsibility for you as a rebounder?
It's all of us. We're crashing the paint, flying around, getting loose balls. Yeah, whoever's out there, we got to find a way to get the rebounds, and that'll fuel our offense. So, as a guard, if I get switched on a big, then just try to keep him not getting the rebound. Or I think a lot of teams are crashing 4 or 5 guys anyways, and so it's a responsibility for everybody, and it's going to be a big talking point for Joe the whole year, and so we all got to do it.
Is Joe any different this year with this group?
Yeah, a little bit.
In what ways?
I think we just got a bunch of new guys and new people that are like hungry for opportunity. So we kind of got not as much like experience as we did the last couple of years. And so just having that hunger, having that, I don't know if desperation is the right word, but a lot of guys that are getting an opportunity for maybe their first time in their career, or were counted out at a different spot, and just going out here, and Joe's on them.
Did he warn you guys there'd be a quick hook if you didn't stay on your man with the rebounding? Is that just understood?
No, he didn't say nothing. It's kind of obvious.
Oh, so much that's said with what's not said. Love it. Love it.
Derek, obviously it seems like Josh is one of those guys that comes in with a lot of energy. What has been your take on him just in camp and also just playing with him today as far as the energy that he can bring to you guys?
Yeah, he definitely comes in with that like excitement, that joy, and he's one of those guys that just excited for his opportunity, and he can do a lot of different things out there on court, and can guard multiple positions and just kind of be a pest out there. And so he's been great for us this whole preseason. He's just always just listening and learning. Wants to just keep getting better and show what he can do. And so we try to give him a lot of confidence to go out there and do what he can do. And he can do just a little bit of everything out there, which is it's a good tool to have.
Thanks, Derek.
Definitely interesting.
Just a little different.
Just a little different for sure. Pretty funny response from Derek there, and
I
is
love
curious.
the smirk before he answered the question. Loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, they're definitely in a little bit of a doghouse with Joe on some stuff here, so it's interesting to see. And that's always, we talk about the concerns when you bring together this many new players and you throw them all in there. Like, I hate comparing, cross sport comparing, but you would always see I think a great example is with the Patriots there. You have a program and you have a system, and it's built on the people there with the leaders at the top. You've lost a leader. You still have Jaylen Brown, which is huge. But sometimes the losses are so significant that the knuckleheads kind of outweigh the grown-ups in the room. And I'm not saying there's knuckleheads here, but you saw it happen a couple of times with the Patriots, 2009 being a big one where they lost control. They lost the plot a little bit there. The knuckleheads had won, and it just wasn't enough. There's a famous clip on a special with Belichick and Brady, and Belichick saying, I can't get these guys to do what I want them to do. Just couldn't do it, even though you still had those two guys. And I'm not saying that you look like you have a fair amount of buy-in here, but it's still early and it's still the preseason. That's going to be what's really interesting to me is how many guys out there are playing for their next contract. How many guys out there are here because they believe in what the Celtics are doing. If this goes sideways or it's not as competitive a team as you like, you do wonder whether some people start to kind of look out for what's, I'm going to look out for what's mine. I got nothing invested here. They got me on a 1-year flyer. I'm a bargain basement rental. I want a real contract next time I play. I gotta get mine here. I'm not, killing myself for this team. I have no indication. Nothing I've seen from these guys would make me believe that at this point. But it is interesting, right? Simon's playing for another contract. Boucher wants to show people, whatever. Minot, all of these guys, like come get me, or see you guys pay me, but they want to get paid.
They do.
And so you don't know how the personalities mesh, and you don't know, if they're going to buy into what you want to do. So I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. If Joe's struggling to get some of his points across to some of these guys, and that's what manifested itself. Again, I'm really curious Noah's take, because she's pretty good, got her finger on the pulse, and she's been with the team the entire preseason. So she's seen what's gone on, on the road there with these guys and in those first couple of games. So we'll get her on in just a little bit as well. But I definitely think that that's a factor. Let's talk a little bit about him. I think Minot is the revelation of the preseason so far. It really gives them a lot of what they need. What are your impressions? And you said, Gary, your podcast pal, Gary, was at the forefront of this, but what are you seeing that you like?
I see someone that gives you a little, and kind of what Derek White was talking about. He gives you a little bit of everything. I mean, to me, the biggest question mark about Josh Minot was, could he actually shoot the ball? Can he actually knock down open shots? And to me, when he starts doing that, he now becomes not just a guy that you can throw out there and play, a guy that you can go out there and play significant minutes. And by significant, I mean 15, 20 minutes and not be the least bit concerned about him being a liability at one end of the floor or the other. Because defensively, he's going to give you great effort. Defensively, he's going to make plays. He's going to be a pest. He's going to do all those things that you absolutely love if you're Joe Mazzulla. But can he knock down an open jump shot? Can he finish at the rim through traffic? Can he just give you something at the offensive end of the floor that can augment what he's giving you defensively? And this was really one of the first breakout games where you could see him do that at a relatively high level. But that is the kind of Josh Minot that they need. They need him to be a difference maker for this team to have any shot at meeting or exceeding the expectations that many have for them. They're going to need 1 or 2 or 3 guys that have had very little opportunities in the past, getting that opportunity now and maximizing that moment. He's that guy. I mean, right now, I would say him followed by Garza are probably my 2 favorite players from the preseason because of the roles that they're being given now relative to what they've done in the past and how they've made the most of those moments and those opportunities.
Yeah. And so I see him, I agree. I see him getting significant minutes. And in fact, and again, I'm going to be curious Noah's take here. I feel like we might have seen, I still don't know what they're going to do at the 5. But I feel like we have an idea what the starting lineup's going to be next week, because you saw it tonight, with the exception of, I'm not entirely sure. I feel like Boucher must be one of the guys in the doghouse because he started that first half. He got a quick hook. He only played, might have been 11 minutes on the night here. And that's fine. Garza's the next man up, but then you're not going to get the type of rebounding you want out of him. And Xavier Tillman starts at the 5 to start the second half. I don't know if that was a message. If you're going to, based off of Joe's post-game freak out, maybe there's something there. But other than that, you're looking at, it appears to be Pritchard, Hauser, Jalen, and Derek as the rest of the starters. I wouldn't be shocking if Minot worked his way in there. He might be a great spark plug off the bench. It depends what you need more to start games versus what you need coming off the bench, because it's good to have Hauser out there because you're going to need spacing. You're going to have a 5 for the first time ever. You don't have a stretch 5 on the floor And they've had that recently. So maybe Joe wants to kind of maintain the shooting there. And you don't want to play a lineup that's going to have a 5 that can't shoot plus Minot. So Hauser might remain there and might come in as energy along with Simons, who can get buckets with that second unit a little bit. And then you leave Jalen or Derek on the floor as well. So I that's probably where he's going to be. I feel like he's legit.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I thought that was the whole point of having Boucher out there, to give you a 5 that where you have 5 guys who could theoretically knock down.
He will shoot it. Yeah, I mean, he's a willing shooter. Yeah.
Right. And so to me, conceptually, it makes sense for him to be out there. But if he's out there and he's not shooting the ball and he's getting his ass kicked on the boards, and that domino effect affects all the other guys, whether it's him triggering that or those guys not doing their part and it affects him. The bottom line is they weren't getting the kind of rebounding presence at all from him on the floor. And Luke, this was one of the few games where Garza, I didn't feel had a really good effort defense or on the glass. I mean, before coming into this game, the first 2 games, he was averaging a damn near double-double in like 15, 60 minutes. So he was, statistically speaking, having really good impact and presence, but I just didn't feel he did much in this game. He had a couple offensive rebounds, but for the most part, not really giving them that kind of presence they needed. And Joe, I know it's a team thing that Joe is talking about, but you're going to need at least one guy who can call rebounding their thing.
Yeah. So again, it's hard to say if it's his players that have upset Joe, or if it's the media that has upset Joe. So we're going to bring in one of the members of the media present in that postgame locker room and ask,
pissed off Joe.
Noah, what the hell did you guys do to Joe?
You broke my Joe. You broke my Joe.
First off, I want 2 answers. First off, what were you thinking while that was going on?
I was just looking at Jack's face to see how good his poker face was. All I was thinking.
Okay. All right. We're going to play it. Okay. Now, the thing that set him off first was rebounding.
I would love to hear it.
So that the 5 fine guys who could rebound, 5 fine guys who could rebound. And he said it over and over and over again. And then Noah later on asked to follow, well, what is it? Is it effort or technique? And he just kept saying the same thing over and over again. He didn't really answer your question, but I think it's a valid question. Like, are they just not trying? Like, why aren't they doing it? Or are they just not capable? Or are they not whatever? But the thing that lost his mind was Jack's question. Was it about threes or transition through? What was it about?
It was about threes in a more fast-paced offense, how that changes.
Okay, great. And it seemed like a really innocuous question. And here's how Joe responded earlier.
Joe, you guys have taken a lot of threes because your personnel is allowed for it these past few years. You guys are employing a faster paced style this year. Is the process of getting to those change at all because of the faster pace? Does it lend to it differently, or is it just the same process?
I've answered that question 100 times. Find the 2-on-1, make the right play versus the 2-on-1. That's that simple. Could be a 3, could be a layup. Find the 2-on-1. I've answered that for 2 years now. Find the 2-on-1. What does a 2-on-1 present? Are there 2 shooters on the 2-on-1? There's 2 shooters on the 2-on-1. You pass, you're an open shot. There's not 2 shooters on the 2-on-1. You cut. You create a 2-on-1 in a different way. I've answered that for 3 years. Why do we keep asking that? Create 2-on-1s. Find a 2-on-1. Everybody should be able to answer that question verbatim based on my answers to that question for almost 3 years now. What's our offensive philosophy? Create 2-on-1s. What do you do when you create the 2-on-1? Read it. Find it. Last year, there was 2 38% three-point shooters in a 2-on-1 situation, so it was a pass shot. This year, there may not be a 38 to 40% three-point shooter on a 2-on-1 situation, so that 2-on-1 may be created off a cut, and then you can create a 2-on-1 in a different way. Then the cut allows us to get an offensive rebound. I don't understand. Why is it so hard? I said it for 3 years. I mean, you just keep ignoring what I said. Find the 2-on-1, make the right play versus the 2-on-1. For however long I'm here, that will be the offensive philosophy.
So the funny thing is that he actually answered the question in full. Like Jack got his answer. I don't know what that whole press conference was about, honestly. And it wasn't just that; it was like all the rebounding questions. Obviously they won.
And not only that, he was like, "What else you got? Give me more." He was spoiling for a fight. He wanted more.
Yeah, I honestly, I can't say I understand what that was. I mean, I do think he's gotten iterations of that question, but like that's not the only, like there's plenty of questions that have been recycled many times. And that will continue to be the case when we can only talk to one member of the coaching staff and we talk to him 12 times a week sometimes. Like, it's like there's going to be some repeat questions. I don't know what that was about. But Jack was fine afterwards. So if anyone's worried about Jack.
I texted Jack as well, just to see. I also invited him on the show if he wanted to come on and talk about it and, have a little group therapy here, but he's got his own stuff to do post game. But if there's time, maybe we'll get Jack on and he can talk about it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Do you think it was he just didn't like seeing his starters or his A team get its ass, kicked on the boards by Cleveland reserves? Or were there moments where you're like, okay, that was bad? I assume he's upset at something with the players and it just manifested itself and let me just beat up on the media because I'm annoyed right now. Is there something you saw, a person? Because we're trying to read into it. Boucher was in there. Quick hook, but again, they've been doing the quick subs to start the game here, but he only played 11 minutes in the game. Neemias Queta only plays 7 minutes in this game. Did they find themselves in some sort of Joe doghouse because of defensive, effort on the defensive glass? Anything you saw there that would lead you to believe that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that Queta's minutes were related to that because I thought Queta was kind of in the doghouse to begin the game. Maybe that was more of a carryover from Friday night's loss. But it certainly has felt throughout all 3 of these preseason games that if you miss a defensive rebound, that's it. Like Luka Garza missed a defensive rebound, I think, in the first quarter, and that was it for a while in this game. Like that's been the trend throughout this preseason. It's a completely new thing. He even pulled Jalen for about 45 seconds, but he pulled Jalen, and usually Jalen and Jason don't really get pulled for one mistake. That's like I've rarely seen him do that. So Derek White was asked post-game about whether Joe is coaching differently this season, and I think you guys saw the clip, but he didn't really get into it, which makes sense. I don't know if I would have known how to answer that question in his seat, but it's clear that he is coaching differently. And I think he's been a little harder on players than he typically is. And it also makes sense because it's completely different. It's no longer about managing the egos of a bunch of lottery picks and superstars. It's about bringing out something out of guys that have not accomplished a lot in the league. Like I can see how from a mentality standpoint, it requires a different skill, communication vibe. But yeah, it was, that's been the number one thing we've seen through preseason is that you miss a rebound, you're pulled out of the game. So I think that's what we saw again tonight, and we probably will continue to see. And the thing is, I do think there's some effort involved, and there were times where guys were just sleeping on the job. I rewatched game 2 of the preseason, and there were some clear moments where it was just an effort play. But we also knew that the rebounding was going to be an issue as soon as this roster was constructed, right? We knew that going into the season. So it's not like it's just a bunch of guys being lazy. This team has a major hole on the roster, and it's rebounding, and it's the front court.
There's rebounding, and you are. I think I'll be curious to see how they defend actual teams because there's some guys out there, and again, I think you're going to get good effort from certain players on this team, but then there's others who are just limited. So I'd asked Sherrod this, Noah, and I'm curious what you think is. I don't think this level of anger and intensity over these types of mistakes is sustainable on a team that has inherent flaws. It doesn't really make sense. I think when you have a team that has shortcomings, you just scheme around it, find ways to create advantages wherever you can. And in this case, they're deciding to play with greater pace, use a lot of guys, go deeper into their rotation and see if that works for them. Maybe to mask some of the things that they're just not going to be able to do well. And there's never an excuse for lack of effort. And maybe that's what he's seeing is, guys, we're not friggin' good enough to take plays off or to not, attack the glass or just to, let some guy slip by you. And so he's being extra harsh now. But how mad can he get at players who just simply aren't particularly good at one particular, aspect of the game, as you pointed out?
Yeah, and it's interesting because preseason's different, right? A lot about preseason's differing from the rotations to the objectives, everything's changed. So I don't think we're going to see him pull 5 guys routinely during the regular season. It's one thing to have that as something in your teaching toolbox in preseason, but it's going to look different when they're actually trying to win games to make a playoff push or wherever they are in the standings. We'll see, but I don't think he's going to have that philosophy, but I think that right now he's in training camp mode where they're still 10 days away from opening night, and there's still like habits that need to be instilled and like very basic things that a lot of new guys have to kind of get on board with. So I would guess this is more of a preseason thing. But
sure, but do you get a vibe? Do you get a sense that there's a lack of effort from some of the players right now that's bothering him? Because that's the only thing that makes sense is like, I understand we're not great at some of this stuff, but I don't like the effort I'm seeing from some of you new guys. Because, you know, you look for little signs. Even Derek White, you know, when he's asked, is Joe being different? He's like,
right.
A little bit. And like, to me, that's Derek White saying is like, yeah, he doesn't like some stuff.
He's different.
You know, there's some things with the new guys he doesn't like.
Well, I think part of it is that there were like lots of moments throughout the last 3 years where the Celtics on the floor were not playing 100%, or there were lapses in effort or lapses in focus or with discipline or whatever else it is. But they were so talented that it sometimes didn't matter. Like, how many games did they win where it's like the few guys didn't give it, you know, weren't their best, their margins, like there were things that they didn't check off and they were still able to win with sheer talent. They're not going to be able to win this season if they are out rebounded the way that they were in this game against most teams, right? So I don't know that he was holding them to a higher standard, but Joe wants to win. Like, that's his thing, right? And this team has a pathway to win some games, but they're going to have to be the hardest playing team out there. We heard that all of camp. And I don't know that we've seen through 3 games that this team is like, wow, they are playing so much harder than everybody else. Like, there have been some stretches of that, and there have been some lineups and some moments, but it's not like they've been this overwhelming, like, we're playing so much harder than everybody. And I think that that's where he wants to get them. So I would imagine that that's the message that he's trying to send. Not like you guys suck or, you know, but it's like, we're going to have to give it 1,000%. And that hasn't always needed to be the standard. You know, it used to be more about like, be smart and give it to Tatum and space the floor and, you know, those kinds of things.
They've had this huge margin for effort. They've had this huge margin of effort that they could play with for years. So you're right, Noah. I mean, they've never had since Joe has been running things, they don't have to play great effort. And how many games did we see them basically sleepwalk for 2.5, 3 quarters and are down by like 8 or 9 points and win by 20? That's just how they were built, but they can't do that anymore. I think Joe, part of whether he wants to acknowledge it or not, he's got to be a little bit different too. I think he is.
Yeah.
Right. And I think he's trying to figure out how can the changes I need to make as a coach mesh with what I need from these players, because in his mind, he's thinking, I'm doing this different. I'm doing that different. These are the results that I should be getting, and I'm not getting those results right now. And he's got to have to, the thing that Joe is going to have, whether he wants to admit it or not, he's going to have to be more patient with these guys. That doesn't mean that you tolerate their nonsense, but you can't snap in game 3 of the freaking preseason because your guys didn't rebound the way you wanted to. And they won by 31 freaking points.
But here's the question though. Why not though? Why is that? Like, I'm not saying it's for sure the right approach, but isn't it possible that it is? Everything that I've gotten from talking to these players and, you know, being at camp, being on the road with them over the last couple of weeks is they are like 100% bought into Joe. And so if they view him now as like, this is a championship coach, it's different than Joe Mazzulla of 2 years ago that didn't have that credibility. And I think the new guys are really excited to be here. Luka Garza, Josh Minot, they all keep telling us we'd run through a brick wall for Joe Mazzulla. You see it in their body language. Like, we've asked them about Joe. I haven't gotten a whiff of like, this is too much, or like, this is performative, or like, you know, we're trying our best here. And maybe it'll get to that point because it's been a couple weeks. But I also see a world where like, my biggest barometer always of coaching are the players bought in? And you can't always know 1000%, but you can read between the lines. We all know the difference between giving the right PR answer and answering like with 100% of yourself. And right now I've gotten every indicator that the new guys love playing for him and they feel motivated and they feel inspired. Yeah. So in that case, is it bad? You know, is it bad for him to freak out in preseason game 3, or is this going to be the moment that we look back at in 5 months when they're...
I don't think it's bad for him to freak out. I just think it's bad to not acknowledge, or at least internally acknowledge, the fact that they're not that team that you're used to. And they're going to have games like this where they're going to get their asses kicked. Your job is to be that calming presence. getting bent out of shape after getting through the preseason that you win by 31 points because your team, whose talent is limited, don't play above and beyond that talent doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with him beating up the players, especially early, because I think you got to set a precedent. If he doesn't do it now, it's going to be harder to drop the hammer later. So I'm a tough love sort of guy. I've got no problem with that. I just think he's going to literally blow a gasket if he doesn't find a way to just to roll with it a little bit as time goes on. It is early in the process here, and if things go poorly, raging isn't going to help it at that point. So again, it's fine. But
it goes back to something you said, John, before Noah came on, and that Joe became the story of this game.
Yeah,
and that just shouldn't be happening in the preseason.
Yeah, look, I mean, that's kind of the point. Is like it works when you're winning, and people like it too. And you're right, he has the cred, but if the team is struggling and he's just flipping his lid all the time, that's not gonna go well, for a lot of these guys, because some of these guys are short timers too. So it's a delicate balance there. For Joe's sake, I want him to find a little bit of inner peace here. That's all. This
that's what you're really worried about, John.
I'm worried about
him.
Joe.
Yeah.
I'm worried about Joe. I'm worried about Jack. And Joe, and honestly, I'm very worried about Bobby, and I'm glad he wasn't there today because
I'm not gonna lie. I was really like, Bobby's not here. Like I had to remind myself because I was bracing for it.
Because Bobby would have been the dumbass to follow Jack with a something else, and just Joe would have absolutely lost it. I'm so glad Bobby wasn't there. I couldn't take it. We were getting mad when he wasn't answering your question directly. He would have.
Yeah.
He would have bodied.
He honestly
Bobby.
ended up answering my question. I was actually just curious. Because I don't think rebounding is all effort, my personal opinion as a poor rebounder. But I was curious if Joe's message is basically like they're just not playing hard enough. And it wasn't. He did talk about the technique and like there's other things involved. Like obviously I know that, but I was curious if he was gonna acknowledge that or if his message right now to the players is simply effort. And I think it's smart that it's not because there's other things to it, right? And Derek acknowledged it. I think it was Derek that acknowledged it post game where if you're switched on to a big, like probably all you can do is just make sure that the big doesn't get the board and like just be 100% focused on that.
I want to point out just the people in the chat that don't understand stuff. The tough love is I don't care if he could we've been preaching tough love on players forever since the days of Brad. I don't like the nice stuff and the love and this and that. People want to see the coach get mad at the guys. I don't like him getting mad at Jack Simone. Like, I just think that that's rude and disrespectful. There's a better way to handle questions if you're frustrated. If you're frustrated with your players, great. Go into practice, put the balls in the closet and make them just run up and down for friggin' 3 hours or just grab boards. I don't care. That's fine. But that was the reaction was like, dude, chill the F out, man. Nobody in the room deserved it on such a simple, innocuous question. Just answer it and move on. That's all. Anyway, as for the game, Noah, I do want to talk about, because it's not all about Joe here. Feels like this was close to what they're going to try to do in the regular season from a lineup perspective, except for at the 5, which I still think is a bit of a mystery, and I can't figure out how that's going to go. I do feel that, like, right now it looks like the Hauser, Jalen, Pritchard, and Derek will start, but Boucher gets to start in the first half, Tillman in the second half. Keita, as you said, might be in the doghouse from a game or so ago, plays limited minutes. Garza's in and out with a couple of quick hooks. Are we still experimenting here on who's going to play? Is there going to be somebody? Do you think somebody has the inside track there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that Chris Boucher at the 5 is going to be sustainable long term. I mean, I had a one-on-one with Chris Boucher like about a week ago, and one of my big takeaways from that conversation is that he does not like playing the center position, and he feels like he's better as a 4 because he's long and he's athletic and he can disrupt the perimeter. And I think that that's where he feels like he can shine the most, whereas with centers, he's oftentimes undersized. So it was when I saw the fact that he was starting at the 5 today, I was like, that's kind of ironic considering like I know that it's not his personal preference. And also when we were in Toronto, we talked to Raptors guys and they all made that clear. So maybe that's just for today because he played He's been playing well in preseason. I think Joe likes a lot of what he brings to the table. But is that going to be is him at the 5 going to be the solution in 4 months? I would be very surprised if that were still the case, especially considering some of the centers that this team is going to have to face off against. Like somebody on press row mentioned, like Joel Embiid. Imagine Chris Boucher getting that assignment from the top. Like that's going to be challenging. As far as the other guys go, like I thought Keita struggled in the preseason game, but it was also 17 minutes of basketball. So don't want to like overreact to that. Obviously, Joe has seen much more than 17 minutes that we haven't been able to see at training camp. So maybe it's been a bigger issue than just that game. And then actually that Xavier Tillman did some good things in the second half, or especially in those first few minutes. Like it was probably his best stint of preseason so far. But is he the answer at the 5? Like he's also a little bit undersized. He's also not like I don't know that this roster has a solution. I don't know that there's going to be one guy that comes in and just like solves this issue. And if they were trying,
no one's going to solve it for sure. But who do you think they run with?
I think Chris Boucher to start. Like I do think today was indicative of. I think that was indicative of like who he trusts the most right now. And then in an ideal world, it's Neemias Queta. I mean, he has the physical tools to, potentially play that role. And I thought that we saw flashes of it in Eurobasket. We've seen flashes of it throughout his NBA career. I think Luka Garza is going to struggle defensively. Like you've already seen moments of it, but we haven't seen like real competition yet. But there's things that he does well. But I still lean towards Queta in that spot. It's just that's clearly not been the MO this preseason. And I didn't think he played well on Friday, but also, again, there's been a ton of practices and a ton of runs really for the last 9 to 12 weeks that we haven't seen. So I'm sure that's helping inform Joe. Maybe he's dealing with a lingering injury too. I don't know, because he only got 7 minutes today. So that was interesting.
Sherrod, are you worried at all that Queta played himself out of I feel like this was Queta's to lose starting job. Is it weird that he might have played himself out of it in such a short period of time?
It's insane that this could potentially have been, kind of the rise and fall of Queta after 3 preseason games. I think ultimately, when all's said and done, I think he will be the starting center. I think that it won't necessarily be because he has outshined other guys. I think it'll just be by default. Because I think with the Celtics, when you look at this roster, you look at the 4 guys that they're probably going to throw out there to start, you're going to need someone who can do those things that Joe once done. Who can I get one rebounder, one guy that can actually rebound? And Queta, I think, is long term their best option and opportunity to do that. Garza is just lateral quickness is bad, and I love the effort with Garza because I do think he does play hard. I do think he is a smart player. He just doesn't move well when folks get him in that ISO type situation, or when he has to step away from the paint and guard like a trailing big. I think of guys like Karl Anthony Towns, Joel Embiid, guys that can just be trailers and knock down the 3. I don't know if Luka can get out there quick enough to guard them. And Tillman, as Noah pointed out, is undersized. Another one I think, effort-wise is decent, but just doesn't have the kind of that heft that you want. And so Queta, to me, is going to ultimately wind up with the position by default unless the Celtics go outside and try to make a trade between now and the trade deadline to add some.
And the reality is that if this team was trying to win as much as possible this year, there's an obvious, I'm still in the mode of you're covering a team that's trying to win. And I'm like, okay, let's look at who the bigs are on the market because this roster has a clear deficit. Meanwhile, probably the front office is more thinking about how can we shed some salary before the deadline because they're still in the first apron. So they're probably just going to struggle with this by committee all season long, which is part of why Joe is making it such a big deal early on because it's not going to be solved by one guy. And somebody like Jaylen Brown, who has never really been a huge rebounder, is probably going to have to be average 8 or 9 rebounds a game this season. Every single person is going to have a level of ownership around that. But it's not just rebounding. There's also the fact that there are some elite centers in this league, and that I don't think they're going to find a solution for on this roster. But it's like Bobby's been asking a bunch of the centers about this. They're very excited to have this opportunity. I just don't know if there's somebody on the roster that can just straight up solve it.
There's not. It's a choice at this point, and it's a pick your poison sort of situation. And again, this is back to the earlier point of just accepting and embracing a roster that's going to have shortcomings that you're not used to having. Not only did you have,
it's highly unusual for a team to lose not 1, not 2, but 3 centers And all three centers that you lost are better than the centers that you have on your roster.
Yeah.
That's just not normal. So
Right.
I think this is going to be an issue that we're going to be dealing with and talking about all season.
That's the thing. The fourth center on your roster from last year was the presumptive starter this year, and he wasn't good enough to get minutes for the majority of last season. And that guy played himself out of that role. That's how dire this situation is. Is it fatal? No. There's plenty of teams out there that operate without a classic big or a dominant big or one that's even, anybody, but there's nothing behind it. That's the point. Is each one presents a different challenge. They can do something that you like, but you're gonna, and that's gonna be the situation with this team all year. I think we've been spoiled. You had a perfect team, like perfect. You had 1 through 8 or 9 that could play in any combination with any people on the floor. Yes, we miss you, Luke. We do. Luke Cornett comments will always put a smile on Noah's face. It doesn't matter how many years from now when she sees Luke.
I remember my first show. I got such a kick out of it, and it hasn't worn off at all. The only time I ever pinned comments.
Every time you see Luke, it's that little smile creeps. But that's how it's going to be. That's how it's going to be all year long with a lot of this team. It's going to be imperfect, and just got to roll with it there. Rest of the lineup here. Again, nice look at Simons again today in what's probably going to be his role coming off Mr. Instant Offense off the bench. So much has been made about his defense. I haven't seen anything that looks like he's playing a lot of defense yet. But I don't know if you see anything different, but he is an absolute bucket. And it just is effortless. And we're saying, not everybody gets to see him on a nightly basis, but he's so smooth and easy. And that shot is just so pure. It just, he's one of those guys when he shoots, you're just surprised if it doesn't go in. So that's going to be great to have, but everyone's talking defense. What are you seeing? Are you seeing anything that's going to lead you to believe that he can hold his own there?
I like this by Ben. He's been refreshingly neutral defensively,
which is fine. That's all you're going to need to
again.
be.
The problem is that right now we're not seeing, again, all 3 games so far in the preseason.
Ben Vallis first to the floor, by the way. Make sure you guys watch that too. Go ahead.
From the second, these are, they're guarding second unit players, so there's that. I think he's been trying, he's been playing hard, and in turn, I think he's been fouling a little bit too much because it's almost this over eagerness to defend, and he picked up a few in the previous game, and I think he had to kind of calm down a little bit after that, and he said that, but some of it is effort, but there's also a lot of technique. And one of the most stunning answers that we got out of training camp was when I asked him about if there's specific things that he's been doing. And he said, yeah, I've actually never done defensive drills before. We're doing deflections. We're doing positioning. It's my first time doing defensive drills, which is kind of mind boggling because I think he's 26, college basketball years as a pro, but it maybe just is a reflection of the state of basketball and coaching and all that. But there's certainly some potential there. And I don't know that he has shown me that he's a complete disaster on the defensive end. I think it's become a huge story. And until we see that he's a massive liability, it might be a little bit overplayed as far as what he can bring to this team. He had 21 points tonight, and I didn't even notice it. I looked up and I was like, oh, he's the leading scorer on this team. And it was kind of quiet. And that's how he's been the leading scorer for an NBA team for the last 2 years. There's not a lot of guys that have been leading scorers for a franchise. And so I'm actually pretty excited to see how he takes off here.
Oh, sorry. Joe Mazzulla popped back in here. Here's a live look at Simons trying to play defense. Let's get that clip again. That was captured by our Rich LeMay prior to the game. We're bringing Sherrod Blakely back, but we're also going to welcome in a special guest, and that's our buddy Jack Simone here. Who
have you wiped the tears, Jack?
Yeah, my face is dry now. Don't worry, it's okay.
Did you? Can I give you a hug?
I'll take all the hugs.
John, we gave him the exact opposite reaction as a media unit after the press conference. We just piled on. Yeah.
Yeah. Group hug. So Jack, not to relive it, but we are going to relive it because I'll play it for you one time. But what you want to hear it now?
Yeah. Who wants to hear it now?
All right, let's hear it.
No, let's
Let's
just go.
just do it.
Just get it over with.
This is one time. Here it is. Okay, here we go. Here's Joe. I got to rewind it.
Joe, you guys have taken a lot of threes because your personnel has allowed for it these past few years. You guys are employing a faster paced style this year. Is the process of getting to those changed at all because of the faster pace? Does it lend to it differently, or is it just the same process?
I've answered that question 100 times. Find the 2-on-1, make the right play versus the 2-on-1. It's that simple. Could be a 3, could be a layup. Find the 2-on-1. Do it. I've answered that for 2 years now. Find the 2-on-1. What does a 2-on-1 present? Are there 2 shooters on the 2-on-1? There's 2 shooters on the 2-on-1. You pass, you get an open shot. There's not 2 shooters on the 2-on-1. You cut. You create a 2-on-1 in a different way. I've answered that for 3 years. Why do we keep asking that? Great 2-on-1s.
That's my favorite part.
Everybody should be able to answer that question verbatim based on my answers to that question for almost 3 years now. What's our offensive philosophy? Create 2-on-1s. What do you do when you create the 2-on-1? Read it. Find it. Last year, there was 2 38% three-point shooters in a 2-on-1 situation, so it was a pass shot. This year, there may not be a 38 to 40% three-point shooter on a 2-on-1 situation, so that 2-on-1 may be created off a cut, and then you can create a 2-on-1 in a different way than the cut allows us to get an offensive rebound. I don't understand. Why is it so hard? I said it for 3 years. I mean, you just keep ignoring what I said. Find the 2-on-1, make the right play versus a 2-on-1. For however long I'm here, that will be the offensive philosophy.
Okay. First off, why haven't you memorized everything Joe Mazzulla has ever said at a press conference? I want to ask you that question. But number 2, all right, we've had our fun. What set him off there? What is he mad about? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I assume he's just mad at the rebounding, but he also he got mad and then actually answered my question halfway through.
Exactly.
I have it here. He said last year we had 2 38% three-point shooters and a 2-on-1, so it was a pass shot. This year there may not be one, so you can 2-on-1 can be created off a cut and create. All I had to say was that. That was all he had to say. He answered the question. But listen, I get it. I would get frustrated if people keep asking me about threes, so he can be mad and that's okay. But I got the answer I wanted eventually, I guess. I just had to live through the desk slams and him being upset, but that's all right.
Who is the main rebounding culprit here that's the target of his ire?
Oh man, everyone. I mean, no one was safe. Jalen got the hook for missing a rebound. Anthony Simons had it happen a couple times. Baylor, Luka Garza. I think almost everybody who played tonight got
Did anybody
pulled
not
from the game because they didn't get a rebound. I don't think Derek did, and I don't know if Josh did, but I don't think Derek did. That's the only one I can think of. Peyton maybe, but I think he even got one.
We need to keep a tracker in the final preseason game to see if anybody leaves unscathed.
Does that stuff carry over, Jack? Do you think in the regular season though? We were talking about slight disagreement here, but if you're going to beat them up, preseason makes sense because you can pull a guy, you can make a statement. You're not risking a W or anything that's going to cost you long term. So sure, why not? But is this going to be a quick hook sort of situation with guys all year long where you mess up something I don't like or I don't see this effort, you're gone, and then I'm just going to bury you on the bench and play other guys?
I mean, it's interesting to consider because if Jalen and Peyton Pritchard both miss offensive rebounds and you pull them both within the first 2 minutes, I feel like there has to be some sort of line to it. Maybe it's just applying to, the guys who are on the fringe of the rotation and he gives Jalen and Pritchard a little bit of a break, but that wouldn't exactly apply to Joe's philosophy of holding everybody the same standard. So I feel like it almost has to be a little bit more relaxed once the regular season starts. So you don't ruin your scoring, the balance of your lineups and stuff like that. But I think there is going to be a tighter leash from Joe this season in general, for sure.
You think that does extend to the Stars?
At least a little bit, right? If Jalen misses 2 in a row, I think Joe's going to give a piss, maybe sub him out for a minute and tell him to, fix whatever is going wrong. But I don't think it'll be as quick as you miss one, you're out of the game after 60 seconds. I feel like there'll be a little bit more leeway.
I don't think so either.
You don't think they'll be?
No, I just think that from a as like, and obviously like I'm not inside their relationship, but like I don't think that you're now almost like going to coach Jalen 180 different because the talent around him has changed. Because I could see that's how you start losing players too. So I do think that some of the guys are going to be on a little bit of a different leash scale.
Yeah. No, and that's always the way. The Stars are going to get away with it.
They're going to get away with it.
Jack, while we have you, takeaways from the actual game itself, what's standing out to you? And again, you've traveled to the preseason games as well, and you've gotten to see this team, up close and personal through 3 preseason games. I feel like Josh Minot to me has been the story so far of the preseason, just in terms of the almost instant impact, not only he's making in these preseason games, but that you can project forward to see that he's probably going to make in the regular season as well. I don't want to answer the question for you, but anything that like really pops for you from this game that we're like, oh, I kind of like this.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Minot, like you said, is obviously the player who has stood out the most. But I think the Celtics' defensive activity in general has been pretty fun to watch. Like Josh Minot said in the locker room in Memphis that they were playing a lot more, help each other. He said it's not a one-on-one, it's a 5 versus the ball. And I mean, you see it in this game. Hugo Gonzalez helping off the ball, Derek White helping. And in the postgame tonight, Derek talked about, we're all ready to cover for each other. If I help and, go double team someone in the post, Sam Hauser's going to rotate, and it's a big rotation. And I think the pace that everyone talks about offensively in terms of getting out in transition is also translating to everyone is sprinting around in the half court defensively. Like there's a lot more, help defense. There's not a lot of players left on an island as much anymore. And I don't think it's a product of, we have less defensive talent, even though they did lose a lot of great defenders. I think it's just, we want to force more turnovers so we can play fast. And so I think they're going to take a lot more risks like that. And I think it showed up in the preseason.
For anybody here, I'm kind of curious, like we just haven't gotten to see them against a real team. How much carryovers are going to be? This is what I guess the frustrating part. There's so much to like about tonight. I know, Joe kind of changed the tone of this show by losing his mind over the rebounding issue. But I mean, you played a bunch of reserves, but you beat them by 30. That's what you're supposed to do if you play an inferior team. But you're seeing the pace. You're seeing energy. You're seeing some defensive effort. You got to see, Simons do what he's, supposed to be doing here. How much of what we've seen on the positive side of things, Noah, I'll start with you, do we think is going to translate directly when the competition actually is real?
I think this offense is going to be pretty good. Like that's been one of my takeaways. You let's say this is the starting lineup on opening night. You have Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, 3 elite shooters that can really give you good space. You have Jaylen Brown, who we know is a great scorer. Like I think, and Chris Boucher can certainly kind of get his and pick his spot. So I think the offense is actually not going to be bad at all this season. I think the big questions is what we thought going into the season. I don't know that I realized how good some of these offensive lineups could be. I mean, you still have Anthony Simons coming in off the bench and being the talented scorer that we've seen now in 2 games that he is, and obviously 7 years in the NBA. So that's going to translate. I don't think anything is going to change just because they're playing better players. But the things that they've been struggling with, that they've kind of gotten away with, like the defensive rebounding, some of the front court woes, like that is also going to be magnified when they're playing Jared Allen and Joel Embiid and some of these like legit Eastern Conference bigs and just bigs across the league. I mean, I'm imagining Jokic. Like, I don't know. I don't even know where you start with Jokic. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah. I guess for me, just watching them play these 3 preseason games, I'm going to like their second unit way more than I thought I would. I think that they've got lots of energy type guys that are going to allow them to be in a lot of games that they otherwise would just be getting their doors blown off of. We've talked about Minot, but I mean, Hugo Gonzalez, I think he's one of those guys that he plays with great energy. You can tell that he's still trying to find his way, feel his way throughout the league and things like that, which you expect from a rookie. But it's not going to be because of a lack of effort on his part. And you figure one of those bigs is going to come off the bench and give him a little bit something. And last but certainly not least, Anthony Simons. You've got a legitimate 20-point per game scorer that's not starting. That's probably not going to start. So you're going to get some offensive juice. You're going to get some guys that provide good energy. And I think it's going to allow them to be a little bit more competitive, I think, than people realize or expect them to be.
All right. I have one last question about the guy who you should have the least amount of questions about, and that's Jaylen Brown. We saw him in his first preseason action pour in 20-something points, just kind of shoot first sort of mentality, but 0 assists. Tonight's stat line completely different. 8 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. Kind of quiet, but playing that, set distributor role, the guy who does a little bit of everything. Who is Jaylen going to be on this team, guys? Which guy is he going to be? Is he, the easy answer is you give the game what it needs sort of thing, which is what we'd always asked for from Tatum. But what do you think Jaylen's going to be for this team the way it's constructed?
I think he's going to be Jaylen, right? I don't think you should change what Jaylen has to be because the Celtics are different. I think you have to change the Celtics because Jaylen is leading, right? I think he's going to do a good job.
But are they building around him?
I think you almost have to, a little bit. Yeah. They're going to play this fast-paced style, which he loves. He loves to run. He loves to get out in transition. He loves to be, a pest on the defensive end. He loves to get to his spots on offense. And so when they are in the half court, I think he's going to look to either drive quickly or get to his spot in the post. And then from there, you just have, Luka Garza or Chris Boucher, whoever, setting off ball screens, away from Jaylen's action or spacing the floor so he can get what he wants. Like Noah said it, they have 3 guys who are 3 of the best shooters in the NBA, and Pritchard, Hauser, and Derek White. That is automatically going to be great spacing next to Jaylen. And if it's Boucher, you put him on the 3-point line. If it's Tillman or somebody else, you put him in the dunker spot and you work from there. And I think you just have to build the offense and the defense around what Jaylen does best so you can maximize the talent you have on this team.
And if you increase, his usage, you're also, let's be real, you're going to increase the number of turnovers that he's going to commit. I think I've never constructed a Jaylen Brown lower third without the turnovers on it. So Bailey, come on, man. But yeah, but the flip side of that is he's going to have more. He's going to have more. He's going to have more turnovers. He's going to have more assists. All of his numbers are going to show a jump appreciably. But I'm more concerned with him just getting others involved. I think that's the part of his game that he really has to make, I think, a conscious effort to do. I still kind of cringe, to be honest with you, when he gets in that ISO situation where he's trying to break a guy down and dribble. And I'm looking at the shot clock and there's 9 seconds left and he still hasn't made that first pass. And at that point, it's like either he's going to take a bad shot or he's going to turn the ball over. That's typically what happens. But I want him to be more of a playmaker. I really think that's the part of his game. But again, more assists is going to equate with more turnovers too.
I think that's the biggest. If you look at a stat line this season over last year, I think the biggest jump is going to be in the assist column. Like he has talked for a while about how he feels like he's made a playmaking leap, and I think you see it in flashes, but it hasn't quite mounted on the box score. And so I think that this season you're going to see that more than anything else. I actually don't think he's going to average necessarily significantly more points, if any more points, than last year. That's the deeper we're going into the preseason here and training camp, the more I'm getting the sense that that's not really, we're not going to see him shot chuck. We're not going to see him try to just score as many points as possible. I think he wants to demonstrate that he's an all-around player and that there's actually a lot of offensive talent around him. There was moments this offseason where it felt like, wow, he's going to really have to carry this team offensively. He's going to have to, play at an MVP level offensively. And really this team doesn't lack offensive options. There are so many weapons on the floor at any point. You guys know how I feel about Peyton Pritchard. I think he's going to have a monster year offensively. I think Anthony Simons can come in and do what he's done every time he's come in so far as a Celtic. And Jaylen's going to be looking for those guys. And in this game, you really saw that. He was, at one point I was like, has he even taken a shot yet? Because it felt like he wasn't even looking to score. And that's a little bit extreme, but there were guys that were open and he could have had even more assists than he did in this game. He was really looking to set guys up, and I think that's going to be a point of emphasis for him. But like Jack said, what his biggest gift is scoring. And so you don't want to move away from that too much, because that's ultimately what makes Jaylen Brown. So that's where I think he's going to probably average 6, 7 assists this season.
Well, that would be huge because, you're talking 4.5. It's not all about assists, of course. We know. How many times have I told you about potential assists, Jack? But he was.
There will be a test on this next week.
There's going to be so many little bits to be able to bring out of this with Jack.
For 17 years, I've been saying this. Every time he answered, he kept upping the years.
I'm never going to saying this.
10 years.
I've been saying tomorrow. We have practice
Jack,
tomorrow.
When you were a baby, what was it that I told you? about this yet. He's gonna be
Jack,
so
what are you gonna
nice
ask
to
to
you
practice
tomorrow. He's gonna be so nice.
I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna apologize.
You should
in
just
the press
rephrase
conference.
the question
Like,
from
I'm so
tonight.
sorry.
You should just bring up tonight's
Oh,
question
man.
slightly different.
Follow up on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you?
I'll
I
What
want to talk about your offensive philosophy, coach. That's what I want to talk about.
Ask the dumbest follow you can off it. Like what
I'm gonna
exactly?
ask.
Is,
Yeah.
What is a 2-on-1
break?
Yeah.
What
What's a
is that?
2-on-1? Can you break it down for me?
Kind of zoomed over my head.
Can you imagine? Imagine if you had been like, "What's a 2-on-1?" Oh, I wish we could go back, simulate that, and then come back to the show.
Yeah, that's one of you guys should have jumped in there and be like, Joe, what exactly is a 2-on-1?
I should have
Would
done
have been
it.
great. Would have been great. Solidarity, people. You'll get there. You know, you got to have each other's backs in there.
We had solidarity
it's-
after the press conference. I felt.
After he was, but Jack's body was laying on the on the press room floor at that
Carcass
point.
was there, and they're like, "Let's wait till the carcass is not breathing, then we will come together." No,
that's a little. Get help! He's dead. He's dead. You know,
I think it
can't
was
get-
solidarity that the press conference didn't end. Like anybody that asked the question after Jack's question was throwing Jack a little. I don't know if I want to say
Yeah.
a bone. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
It went very
You guys,
in there for a good few.
you got.
seconds.
And then
You
Gary
guys
got
should-
the good question.
Yeah.
I can't. Of
Gary
all
asked me
things,
on
that's
Friday.
I
that's
came
the
up to
biggest
Gary in the
upset
locker
of the
room. I was
night.
like, Gary, how did it feel to get the good
Yeah.
question?
That's going to be a new award on the show this year. We'll call it the Gary, the question of the night. We got to. I can't believe Gary got that. But yeah, look, the Jalen story. 6 assists would be a ton. He went from, a career high 4.5 up from what 3.5 or 3.6, which was his career high before. If he's going to have the ball in his hands more, that number's got to come up for sure. And so we'll see. But again, it's nothing really matters until we see them play for real. We're very, very close. A little bit over a week away until the opener. We got one more of these preseason situations to go coming up on Wednesday. So we'll wrap that up. We'll have a big Garden Report preview show as well. I can't wait to see what happens at practice tomorrow. I might go, Jack. I might go. If
John,
need
you
some-
should.
Yeah, need a little extra beef there.
Oh man.
I might go hang out.
It's
But
like, great.
John, I'd love to see you
yeah.
at practice tomorrow.
and let me ask the dumbass questions.
We'll
I'll
see.
take the
We'll see what
bullet.
We'll see what I get ready for tomorrow.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You good on you, Jack. Tisk Joe Mazzulla. You don't talk to people like that. But anyway, thank you guys for watching the show on this preseason game. Check out Jack Simone and all of it. Jack, you want to plug your own stuff?
Sure.
Podcast
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
whatnot?
my
Yeah.
Podcast. How about them Celtics? My written works at Hardwood Houdini. I'll have more videos and stuff on my Twitter account too throughout the season. So
Jack, you
Excellent
might
stuff.
see viewership triple right now after tonight.
yeah, I gotta
Celebrity.
crank out a
Everyone's gonna be like,
video
"Who's
tonight.
this Jack Simone guy?"
I gotta make
Yeah.
a TikTok.
Let me lock into.
I
his
asked
pod.
Joe Mazzulla about 2-on-1 situations, and this is what he.
I wanted to go like an attack ad,
Yes.
like dramatic and dark, like go,
So you know
and,
those
like,
videos that's like, that's me.
the
How did we
freeze-
get
the
here?
freeze
And
frame.
You can do your
Yeah, how did I get here?
Joe
Hi, I'm
Mazzulla
Jack
just called me an
Simone.
idiot. What's my backstory?
You're just from a gutter somewhere, right? How did I get here? Noah Dalzell, obviously, for SB Nation and Celtics blog. Check that out. Check out Sherrod Blakely's Substack, as well as the Big Three Celtics podcast with Mr. Question of the Night, Gary Washburn, and Kwani Lewis. And one more plug for the WNBA YouTube channel. Check that out. The season's over, but the news is going to continue rolling. It should be a fun, spicy offseason. Maybe we get a new commissioner. There you go. Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Sorry.
Maybe we get a new commissioner. Maybe we get some good news. Maybe we get a team in Boston. Who knows? But Noah's going to have you covered all the way through there. Last shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks. Download that app. Use code CLNS. Get 50 in your lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, code CLNS. 50 in your lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The Celtics defeat the Cleveland Cavaliers 138-107 in preseason action. The preseason wraps up, as we said, on Wednesday. We will be here immediately after the game. And if Jack wants to come hang out, we love having him. But if not, Jack, thanks for joining us and being a good sport on this one. We appreciate it.
Of course, yeah. I got to laugh it off. That's all I can do.
All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you next time. Good night.
I was
sneaking
a
vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're gonna do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have to feel that way. Let's
Yeah.
fight out over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We're not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke